Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to go over a couple of other tab styles that you might use from time to time and converting a tab list into tables. Okay, so I've got another video where I go over the very common left-aligned tab, and by the way, I'm looking at the tab indent marker. I'm looking at the tab marker over here on the far left of the screen, left of the ruler. By default, you'll see a left tab, and if I cycle through by clicking my mouse, I get a center tab, use that one quite a bit, and a right tab. So left aligned tab, center tab, right tab. Use those quite a bit, but there's a couple others you should be aware of also. If I click again, I get to what looks like a center tab, but there's a little dot. That's a decimal tab. Now, although I don't have much occasion myself to use the decimal tab, if you're keeping track of scientific data, I could easily see this happening. Basically, the decimal tab will line up a column of numbers by the decimal. So I've got my decimal tab marker selected. I'm going to put a decimal tab at the 2-inch mark. So I put the tip of my arrow on the 2 on the horizontal ruler, click with my mouse, and I now have a decimal tab at the 2. So if on my document, I press my tab key, insertion point jumps to the 2, and I'm going to go ahead and, just so we can see, it's not ideal with text, but I can put in some text. And it looks like it's giving me some kind of a right align, so be it. I'll press my enter key, tab, and now for the real test, I'll put in 45.65. And kind of hard to tell, but if I click on this, you'll see a little line show up. You'll see that the decimal of the number that I just typed is lined up at the 2-inch mark. That's the decimal tab. So let me press enter again, tab. I'm going to type in 1.4567, enter, tab, 12345.4. Now you can really see what the decimal tab is doing. It's taking numbers, lining them up by the decimal. The decimal tab is really only going to be useful if you want to align numbers that have multiple places. Now, if I was just doing currency, every number had 2 decimal places, or any number that had a set number of decimal places, I would probably end up using a right align tab as opposed to a decimal tab. But for those who need it, that is a decimal tab. Now I'm going to press my enter key again, scroll up a little bit here. And I don't want to use a decimal tab anymore. So to get rid of an existing tab on a paragraph, I can just put the tip of my arrow on the tab marker on the ruler, click and drag down, get rid of it. Now my previous paragraphs are fine. They still have their decimal tab, but my current paragraph has no custom tab stops. I'm going to click on my tab marker indicator over here. I'm going to go to the bar tab, kind of a funny name. But the bar tab is really just a visual indicator. So I've got a bar tab indicated. I'm going to put a bar tab at the 2-inch mark. Oh, let's try that again. I don't think I clicked properly. Let's try this. 2, there's a bar tab, and I'll put another one at the 4. So one at the 2, one at the 4, and you'll notice Word created these little vertical lines for the tabs. But beyond these vertical lines here, I'm not too impressed by the bar tab because I still have my default tabs. Oh, let's click all the way to the left. I can press tab and it still goes the default 1/2 inch. Text, tab over, go past my little vertical bar, more text. So the bar tab's real purpose is simply a visual separator, and I don't think it's a very efficient one. Now, if you truly want to separate your text, then the best bet is to, especially if you want visible borders on there, I say go with a table. So let me select all of this and I will delete it. So let's say I do have some text on here. I'm going to give myself a quick paragraph or some text. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in front of each word here, and I'm just going to press a tab, default tab, nothing fancy. And you're going to hardly notice the change. I'm just putting some spaces in front of things, but close enough. And I'll get rid of the rest. So I have a couple rows of tab data, and if I had my formatting marks on, by the way, you can see that pressing the tab creates that little arrow there, so that's a tab key. Now if I have this set up, what I might like to do is convert this to a table. So I'm going to select these two rows. I'll head over to my Insert ribbon, my Table drop-down, and one of the options now is Convert Text to Table. I'll click that. Number of columns, I'll assume that it's guessed it properly at 7. Fixed column width, and I'm going to separate text at tabs. I'll click OK. And now I've got myself a table. Let me show you another more realistic way this might pop up. So I've got some common delimited data I just picked up from Webipedia, and I'm going to select this data. Back on my Insert ribbon, Table, Convert Text to Tables. Yep, it's got my 5 columns, knows that it's 4 rows, fixed column width, auto, separated text at commas. Word is smart. It knows that I have commas separating this data as opposed to tabs. Click OK, and now I've got myself an instant table. And of course, I could create a new top row to create a header row and things like that. So if I want visual separation, that's the way to go. So decimal tabs line things up by the decimal. A bar tab just gives you a vertical line separating, but better than that even is using a table to organize your data. Have fun.